This podcast was brought to you by Marimoso Media Production and Lambi and Co Advocates. If you like what you're seeing and you want to see more content like this, if you want us to keep bringing you great guests to our podcast, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe because that's the only way you're going to support us. And thank you very much. All right. This podcast has really been overdue. We were supposed to bring you another episode, I think, sooner than we thought we would. But this has taken 9 months. But I mean, we're here. Second episode of Thoughts Beyond the Bubble. And today I am joined by a very special guest. Whoever that's going to guess it, I think I should still have a gift for you. Yeah, so if you guessed it right, I should be able to give you a copy of my book, Thoughts Beyond the Bubble. Please feel free also to get a copy on Amazon Kindle. Just search for Thoughts Beyond the Bubble. If that's hard to find, Ian Mombe or Cognitive Dissonance, all the three put together, and you should be able to find the copy and get yourself a copy. But the link will be in my description. So, like I say, today I'm joined by Jacqueline Chililambilo Lungu. I don't know if I called the middle name correctly.
No, you did not.
Please help me.
It's Chililambilo.
Chililambilo. Okay, what does it mean?
My dad tried to explain it.
Okay.
So it's supposed to be, it is a drum.
Okay.
It's a message. It's like a whistle. In
Okay.
some places where if a chief has an announcement to make, a person goes around the village with the drum, beating
Okay.
the drum. So that whole act is called a Chililambilo.
Oh, okay.
So it's like an announcement of
Ah.
something coming. Mostly good news.
Great, great. So today we're joined by the bearer of good news.
Yes,
A
yes.
drum. Okay, that's great. So for those of you who don't know who Jacqueline is, she has a Bachelor of Laws degree, a Master of Laws degree, specialized in commercial law.
Yes.
Am I right? Great. Yeah, so we're joined by a very powerful young woman. I'm not going to say young lady, young woman.
I
which-
get that a lot, so that's fine.
yeah.
I get that a
Okay,
lot.
so last I checked, you were starting up a company called Long Green, and I was about to be the ambassador. I mean,
Ah,
I don't know if I still am.
yes, you still are. You still are.
Great,
You still
great
are.
then. And now managing partner Lambi and Co Advocates.
Yes,
Congratulations, by the way.
thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been a whirlwind. It's really been a whirlwind. Yes. The last time I was starting up Long Green Monetary Services, it's basically into microloans for middle income people. That kicked off, but it was meant to be a side hustle, really.
Okay.
Yes, my profession really is in law.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so maybe just a brief background on the journey to now managing partner role.
From when I was a young girl.
No. Well, we could
From where
we
the
could
dream
take it the
started?
professional, your professional journey to be specific.
Well, just a brief background. I come from a family of two girls.
Okay.
One of my parents. I am the oldest, and so growing up, my dad really put us to task with how far we can go in life. So we were not, I wouldn't say allowed, but it was an echo in the room. Like you can't just pick to study just anything. If it was back in school and you're bit by a boy in class, my dad would be upset. Why did you get this many marks? Why did he beat you? Is it because it's a boy? So it was really, I think from a young age, they taught me to aim higher. And that's how I ended up thinking, well, law looks like quite a good leap,
Yeah,
you know.
it is.
And yeah, so I got to finished my high school, and then I applied for my bachelor's degree. I was not allowed to have a second option.
Wow. Okay. Why is that
And
so though?
I'm really grateful to my dad for that mindset, because he said, he didn't want gender to be the reason not to do anything. And so I took up medicine, I took up law, my young sister took medicine.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
Great.
And so after I finished my high school, I think I knew immediately that I wanted to do law. There was something about it, the gowns. At that point, I didn't understand, the work side of it and what
Okay.
it takes, but I liked the etiquette, how it looked, and how eloquent people spoke. I'm like, maybe I could try that. And so I applied and did my bachelor's degree at Unilas. It was quite a journey as well. And then I did my master's from UNZA.
Okay.
And then I got my practicing license before I did my master's.
Ah.
Yes.
Ziali, that is.
That is Ziali. Yes. So that's where the journey started, really. I took an internship, and then I moved up to legal assistant. And then there's what we call legal practitioner,
Okay.
which is basically someone who's working for a firm learning whilst they're at Ziali. And then I passed the bar, and then I got an advocate position. And those were what we call formative years. You start with the learning, the chaos in firms and all those things, until I got to a point where I realized I didn't like the 9 to 5 in the strict sense. No, I just didn't like answering to anyone.
Okay.
I wanted some flexibility. I wanted ownership. I think having worked in few firms, I realized how much they were making. So I knew from the business side of it what I could achieve if I just took the leap. And so I think that was December 2022. I took a very big leap of faith. I quit my job, and I decided to start a firm with 3 other colleagues. I remember leaving without what people call an anchor client. Dry, just
Wow.
hoping on the grace of
It really
God.
takes a lot, because most people really can't just stop their work because they're like, what's gonna feed me?
I think my faith played a very big role in it. So I remember one time just going back to my Bible and claiming the promises, like, look,
I was really about to ask,
You said.
was it faith from the Bible, or was it faith in yourself?
in God
In God.
and what He can do through me, really.
Great.
So I went back and I said, look, this is not what I want. Let's start there.
Okay.
Also, you told me, there are a lot of promises that we find in the Bible. Well, for Christians, for those that are listening and Christians, you be heads, not tails. Ask anything of me, I'll give it to you. And I also realized that sometimes we get what we ask for. And I thought, well,
Truly.
let me try this big guy. And say, let me go all the way. Look, this is what I want. I understand my own firm. I don't have my own clients right now, but faith of a mustard seed.
I guess. Moves mountains.
So my colleagues and I left our jobs. I resigned. A few of them resigned as well. We opened a firm called Chot, Legal
Okay.
Practitioners, and we were the 4 of us. So starting, we had the same vision, but I think 2 years on, there was some difference in the way that we wanted the firm to go. And I also realized that I didn't have the flexibility I actually wanted, because I still had to answer to 3 other people. So then I thought, well, this has given me some experience on how to run a firm alongside others. And I think that now I can go away on my own. And that is how Lambi and Co Advocates came to be.
And now managing partner.
Yes.
I would have said I don't understand this, but with the help of Suits,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I really get it. I really get it. And I'm glad I watched that show. Even though I've had some friends who would come up to me and say, "Have you watched Suits? I saw a guy in there who's like you. You should try being a lawyer." I'm like, "No, guys, that's not for me."
why not? You're very eloquent in the way
I
you
think
speak. You probably
I've already found my niche. Yeah, law could be fun, but no, nah, thanks. I think we're okay with you guys. Maybe I
good for
would
you.
equally not be okay answering to someone.
Yeah, it gets quite overwhelming, and law firms have this. While I appreciate it, I think sometimes you get to a point where it's almost enough. People run their firms in ways that, how can I put it? It's like you're supposed to be constantly under pressure. There's deadlines, there's all those things, and then you have maybe your managing partner or your senior partner who's also putting pressure. Tasks are lagging over. You have to work the hours and all those things. But I think it's a necessary journey. Even my advocates, I probably treat them the same way.
I see. I see.
Because it's a formative years, and I'm grateful that I've gotten to a point where I can have that freedom.
Great, great. Um, um, I was going through your LinkedIn profile, and I must say I'm really impressed.
Thank you.
And I stumbled upon the fact that you are into corporate advisory work, mostly, that is. How did you find your niche in corporate advisory work? Why corporate advisory, if I would put it that way?
I think it boiled down to my favorite courses
Mm,
back in law school. I
okay.
really enjoyed contract drafting. I really enjoyed contract management, those kind of principles. It 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 had a blueprint,
Mm,
like an equation, like there's a way to do things, right? So when I'm faced with a challenge in my legal practice, there's always something I could go back to. Principles, equations, how do you, when this happens, does it meet the elements of this? So it was
mm,
exciting to match. It's like a puzzle,
mm,
right? So when I finished my undergrad, I was exposed to everything. That's litigation, corporate and advisory, and conveyancing. That's London estate. Um, but I found myself enjoying contract drafting more, negotiations, safeguarding clients through the contracts, and how you can put booby traps in the contract, how you can look for booby traps in the contract
mm,
and protect clients and SMEs and all those things. So I thought, well, this is nice. Maybe
mm,
I should go
okay.
this way. And I think I like litigation, but sometimes it's very dramatic.
Okay.
It's very dramatic because there's a thrill that comes with it, quite all right.
I guess that's where the fun is.
Yes, but at some point, it's just that. So you get to a point where you're now looking for quicker solutions for your clients. You're looking for ways that your clients will not end up in litigation. That you're looking for ways for clients to comply with laws and regulations. So it takes you out of the realm of a fighting ring all the time, because sometimes the best solution for the client might not be to litigate.
I see.
So when I got more familiar with what kind of service I wanted to provide, that's how I ended up going the corporate way.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, they say challenges really shape who you are, or rather, who you become. What pivotal moments really shaped you into becoming this young woman that you are, climbing the ranks?
Okay,
What
growing
challenges
up,
really shaped you?
I am the biggest challenge I've faced, believe it or not, is my age.
Okay, I guess that wasn't just me.
It's my age, and not just my age, and the way I look. I've gotten a
Younger
lot
than
of,
your age, right?
yes. So most times people ask me, "Is like you're a lawyer?" I'm like, yeah. And maybe you find me on a day when I'm just done like maybe a simple hairstyle or like a little bun, and now I'm looking 16 years old. And then you have this big instruction in front of you, and the client is, entrusting, millions
On you.
of kwacha and contracts for you to protect or to manage. And so I found myself having to tower over it. Sometimes you're in a room and then people are talking over you. And that was when I was just starting out. My boss would send me to court, and the judge would ask you like, "How many years are you at the bar?" So it's been my biggest challenge because sometimes it gets me into rooms because sometimes people are a little bit impressed, like, "How was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Really?" And then some people are like, are we sure?
Mm-hmm.
We want to go with this person." So it made me work twice as hard, and for some reason my voice dropped too. Because like something had to, you know what I mean, like something had to make me look like I'm where I am.
Okay.
So when I go into rooms, I remember I had a mentor. She would say, she's also quite petite. She would say, at some point you have to raise your voice, for people to hear you in a room, because you're not operating on the same playing field. And at some points you have to be a little bit harsh to people older than you. That was a very big challenge for me till this day, because you know how we grow up, be humble and all those things, and you're talking to someone with gray hair and you're nearly shouting at them. So you're
I
just like,
know.
maybe I should hold up. So that's been my biggest challenge. I think it's really shaped me in a way that I have to, when I'm in a room, I have to make sure that my mind speaks for me. Of course, my first impression sometimes, and even just maybe the way I look, maybe dress up a little bit more mature, that helps. But the first things that you say, I had to take up some, lessons, how to show strength in the boardroom, the things like who speaks first, the things like who has the deciding factor, the moments you need to stand up, raise your voice, lower your voice. So it had to be an active thing for me to get to where people could actually trust me because of my age. But then I think after some time, I think when my colleagues and I opened a law firm, it was almost given, because it was like, okay, then how is it that you are a partner if you don't know what you're doing, right? So it kind of helped that I had pushed myself to that point. So whereas there may be a little bit of doubt, like, okay, are you sure you can do this? And then you look at my business card and you're like, okay, maybe she can, because how did you end up here,
Exactly.
and all those things. Yes, that's been my biggest challenge. That's been my
Did
biggest challenge. The blessing
did
and the curse.
did music really play a role in how you managed to manipulate your voice? Speak louder, lower.
Why are you asking me that?
For those of you who don't know, my guest right here has been singing, was actually singing. I don't know if she still does. Was singing for One Heart. Yeah, so those of you that know the group One Heart, she's one of the founding members that was singing there. And I don't know what happened from the blues.
Okay, so growing up, I sang in Hoppers
Oh, yeah, and Hopers as well.
and One Heart and then God's Voice. But not a lot
Really?
of people know about God's Voice, because at the time that I was in God's Voice, that's the time I was doing my master's.
Oh, okay. So it
So we
ended in
had,
rehearsal.
yes, no, I didn't even look. I would go for the rehearsals,
Uh-huh.
but then sometimes I would miss them.
Ah,
So
okay.
because we would rehearse mostly during the week in the evening, and I was working, so my master's was part time. So my classes were in the evening. And then Sundays, sometimes family comes up, my mom wants something, my dad needs something done, and you can't really make it consistently. So I thought, let me take a step back. And I have been in that step back ever since.
Ever since.
I'm so glad they haven't really removed me from their group or anything. I'm still part of the family. I
Oh,
just
really?
haven't. I should go back.
No, it is a good family if you ask me, because I haven't really. Okay, not really that I haven't really seen, but the professions in that group, I think people are doing fine for themselves professionally, and I can't really think of any other group that should really fit in with your caliber because
No,
you might
not.
face. I'm not gonna say this, but yeah.
Uh,
So did
it's
music really help? No.
actually look like this is what happened. I used to be a soprano.
Yeah.
Now I can't sing soprano. I don't know what
How?
happened overnight.
Voice break?
I don't know. I just woke up one day and I was speaking in tenor, and I tried
Well,
to
but if you ask me,
sing.
that's not tenor. You still sound like you can do soprano.
No, I can't do soprano.
With practice, yes, you can.
I've tried.
Trust me, it would even be better. You remember singing with my niece, who's this Najambwa?
Yes.
Her voice. Did you think like she could do auto with her
No.
voice? See? So you
No.
can.
Ish. Yeah, maybe, but it'll take a lot of practice to get back into the singing scene.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of challenges, right? Um, there are certain challenges that obviously have evolved in different professions over time. And one that really seems to stand out in our recent times is AI, how it's really replacing certain things, certain people, certain roles. Has AI really affected you in your area of profession?
I was having this conversation with a colleague one time in the office, and he was saying AI is going to replace lawyers. I laughed because it's not possible.
No.
Um, for instance, well, the two fronts with law practice, it's litigation that's active, dispute resolution that requires advocacy, right? And then there's the other side of it that is corporate, which is basically contracts and all those things. So I imagine that what he meant to say was that the corporate side will be replaced because it's contract. You can upload question points and what type of agreement you're trying to get into, and then Chat GPT will just provide you with a document. Right? But I did an article recently that shows how AI can't ever replace a lawyer because there are some things that you have to feed it for it to be able to give you a product, right? If you're looking at contracts, right, there are issues that come up with conflict. For instance, just at the point of instructions before you even enter the contract, right? If, for instance, I'm with you and you're telling me you want to enter into a contract for music or like for equipment and all those things, and at that point we're discussing, we've already missed each other on what item, right?
Okay.
So one part that the lawyer plays really is to make sure that what the client wants is in the contract and it's written down so that if anything should come up, we won't have any issues as to whether you follow the instructions of the client or not. And then once the client has given you the instructions, the next thing that you need to do is reduce it into writing. Now, quite all right. Yes, maybe AI can give you a document, right? But there's certain clauses that AI can't read into the document. It comes from the lawyer's due diligence. So if I check, for instance, that you run a company and this company is encumbered, you have fixed and floating charges over your company, and I'm representing a client that wants to enter into a contract with you. My job that AI will possibly not do because they don't have access to land systems, to Pakra and all those things, is to make sure that it's brought to the attention of my client that your company is encumbered. So then my job will be to insert a clause into that contract that protects my client from those encumbrances. You see, so that's where some of the differences come in
Come on.
with AI. And then some contracts have what we call conditions precedent. You need to do these things before the contract is fulfilled. So, for instance, if we said, I'm not buying this car until you change the tires, right? And then you enter into a contract with somebody and then you buy the car before they change the tires. My job as a lawyer is to look at the contracts and make sure that those things that you said you're going to do before are done before you sign, because once you sign, it's the end.
Yeah.
Most times, So that is where the difference comes in with where to blend AI and legal practice. But at the same time, it is of some benefit with research,
Okay.
Because if you're looking for a few things, and it's easier to to post it maybe on ChatGPT or something and then get few leads. But at the same time, you also have to go back with that information and verify it against cases that are being decided in court. Am I correct? Am I contracting outside the law? And all those things. So it helps in more ways than one, but I think it works together with and cannot work without. And a lawyer. Someone has to think for it somehow.
Yeah, I feel like AI, if it's either it replaces your thinking or makes you even think much more. That's for me. And I've always advocated for this, that if you're going to use AI to just ask questions, then it's probably just going to be thinking for you. But if you understand everything that you're doing, even before you give it the prompt, then you are the one thinking and basically just getting output of your own thoughts. So
Yeah.
I'm getting that you don't really have much challenges, but more on the positive side.
No, we didn't have challenges really. Maybe I think maybe the other challenge that could be there is that I don't think AI is absolutely accurate.
No.
I have tried to run a document through it just for spelling and grammatical errors. I just wanted to see what the fuss was about. But then it ended up picking up things that were not even in the document, like
Okay.
spelling errors that are not there, like words that are not in the document.
I see.
So at the end of the day, yes, it can work for you, but you still have to be the brains behind it.
Out of curiosity, which AI tool are you using?
Um,
Yeah,
I
because
tried,
anyway, for the
ChatGPT.
sake of the podcast,
This-
there are some that are not really, that I wouldn't recommend, but there are others I would recommend as well. But for the sake of the podcast, since
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not going to mention them. Anyway, let's move on. What is your vision in your current role right now?
It's an interesting question. I think with legal practice, with lawyers, there's a wide spectrum of things you could do, right? Some people to find their niche in criminal law, some people in civil litigation, and others in corporate law. So I noticed that I know a lot of lawyers will be like, you'll be taking away business. I noticed that not a lot of people are focusing on dispute avoidance
Okay.
mechanisms.
I saw an article you wrote recently on LinkedIn.
Yes. So what's happening is that you could make more money, right?
Okay.
Speaking loosely, by going to litigation and all those things. But I think there are ways that we can serve our clients better, which is finding ways to avoid dispute in the first place. So before you even get to ADR, alternative dispute resolutions like negotiations, mediation, and arbitration, we could start by making sure you've proofed yourself from ever even getting into a dispute. If you do, maybe minor ones. And I think the focus of that article was to say you could have laws, bylaws if it's employers. You could have regulations in companies if it's mining. You could have um, terms and conditions that cover almost anything under the sun. So if something comes up in your contract and you don't know how to deal with it, you just go back to the contract, right? Okay, if this happens, let me give an example. If let's assume you have a contract for I don't know, the provision of equipment, right? And then let's assume there's a delay in payment, and you have a clause in the contract that says if you don't pay within 30 days, you appeal, right? If you appeal and it doesn't work out, the next thing that we do is this amount of money will be deducted or interest will be earned, will be added on the things that are pending and all those things. So it gives you a blueprint already on what to do so that you don't even have to litigate.
Ah, I see.
That is where my vision really lies. I'm hoping that I could serve my clients in that way, to provide solutions before anything happens. So that would really entail going into their companies and seeing how they're complying with what they need to comply with, their relationship with their employees and all those things, and seeing how where in their way of business do they have potential for dispute, and covering it before it happens.
Great. I think from an ignorant point of view, it's really hard to tell exactly how important a lawyer is. And most times I think we get to pay for this ignorance, where you sign something that backfires against you and you're like, how did I miss this? I now see where you guys are important.
Look, I'm not trying to to put myself out there, but having a lawyer is the same as having a personal doctor.
Wow. Okay.
There are things that you may not know, and sometimes people think they can do things on their own. There's so many things that we've had to correct, and sometimes clients come when it's already messed up, and you have
Yeah.
to think of ways to correct. Like, look, if you had sought legal advice from the get go, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
It's almost the same. It's the same with everything. It's like even just drafting wills, just minor queries, things that you think are small, right? Or I'm getting into this. What do you think? Lawyers are not just legal advisors; they're also business advisors, because at the end of the day, we are expected to be abreast with modern things, what's happening in the news, what's happening with stocks, for instance, what's happening in this area of business. So when you come to me or another lawyer and say, look, I'm looking to invest in this. Could you give me a legal opinion as to whether this is a great idea? I won't just tell you the blueprint, really, that you need to incorporate a company, pay this amount to that institution, and so on. But I also assess the market. Like, okay, for your type of product, I anticipate this might happen. You might find yourself in breach because of these tariffs have gone up. Have you made provision for this? All those things. So at the end of the day, you have a full package, even as you're going into whatever venture you're going into.
In what ways do you champion mentorship and diversity in the legal ecosystem?
In what ways do I champion it?
If you
I am
do at all.
looking to. I am looking to. I just recently set out to hire some interns. I think for interns mostly, there's a lot of mentorship that goes on there because they don't really. They are the way we were, well, us when we're starting out, blank most times. So you're hoping that you're joining a firm and the person that's at the helm of it is holding your hand through it, just to show you the ways and how to go about it. I also look at mentorship myself as a way to. It's some sort of protection, if you ask me. Even for me, I have a few mentors, believe it or not, that are way older than me in practice that I can go to and say, look, I've never handled this before. How do I handle this? Maybe I have conflict. How do I handle this conflict? And all those things. So mentorship plays a very big role because no one is an island to start with,
Truly.
and no one has a monopoly of knowledge.
Truly.
So it depends on whatever you're facing at a particular time, and if you have scattered mentors who are in different niches, or even just what you're actually doing, it's easier, to say, okay, I'm running a firm, I haven't faced this before. You have been in the business for nearly 30 years. How would you recommend that I handle this? So it's like cheat code.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Or more like an AI prompt.
Yeah, it's a cheat code. Mentorship is a cheat code. You just get, the information for free because the person just wants to help you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
I think from a biased angle, though, I feel like for the boy child, I think we don't really have a lot of mentors for the boy child. And I feel people should really know the true importance of mentorship because some feel like, we can make it on our own. And even just away from mentorship, I don't think you can be thinking of scaling without collaboration. And I would like to think of mentorship more like collaborating, except on a more different level, you know? Um, maybe what do you think on the aspect of us having more mentors, especially for the boy child?
You know, I'm smiling because I have these conversations a lot with somebody I know, and we're always going back and forth on this. You
Okay.
know, some people argue that these days, well, the girl child has gotten more needed attention. They've gotten more attention. They're getting a lot of attention, but then the net effect is that they're neglecting the boy child, right? If you notice, most of the job ads these days, women are encouraged to apply.
And you never find one in preferably men.
No, no,
No.
no. I've never seen
I've
that.
never seen
I've never
one.
seen that. You know, but I understand the notion behind it, because most women, the majority, I want to say this loosely, you know,
Okay.
the majority, the majority, don't think they should be in major positions. Right? They think their place is somewhere else, you know, in lesser jobs, lesser positions, you know, just whatever I can do to support, if you're married, my husband. But not so much, you know, just keep it at a bare minimum, right? So we don't have a lot of women applying because they don't think they need it, really. I don't know why. I'd hate to speculate.
Okay.
But even just I was talking to a colleague who was also running some ads for a company, and we were just overwhelmed at how many men were applying rather than women. You know, we don't know why, but I think maybe that ties into what you're asking. People just assume that, guys, it's a natural instinct. You are looking for the job. You know, like you are pushing. You're trying to work harder. You're trying to get through the contracts, get contracts or whatever it is. Get a job, get an education. It's been that way for years. Even children in schools, I think, back in the days, if a household does not have finances and they have a boy child and a girl child, the likelihood that the girl child will be taken to school over the boy
Yeah.
are 0 to none. You see, so I think that's why the emphasis has been on girls for a very long time. But at the same time, I think when it comes to opportunity, it becomes a disservice if people are gonna get me for this. if if we always prioritize women, right? I like to say let it be on merit, you know. If I have a degree and a guy has a degree and we're both applying for the same job, you know, let it be on merit, even at an interview, right? If you go to an interview and the minute they see you're a girl, they're starting to think, oh, now she's going to get married, then there'll be children, then there'll be a maternity leave, then no, my child is sick, I'm going to the hospital. So even employers are like, "Ah, okay, maybe a guy because he's a runner, like he has no downtime, you see." So coming back to mentorship, I think in the legal sector, I think there's a lot of mentorship available. I just don't know how many men actually go looking for it. Maybe that's also an issue.
Ego.
Yeah, maybe that's the issue there. So I don't really know how many men or junior lawyers go looking for it, right? But mentorship is available, really. I think it depends on the person. You have to know what you are looking to be or where you're looking to go. So if you don't have the passion to go looking for the answers or looking for the motivation or following through the footsteps of somebody who's been there.
So I think what I'm getting is, to those of you probably that will be thinking there isn't mentorship, be also on the searching side as well. Look for mentors.
Yeah.
Look for people you look up to. And speaking of which, right, and that's why sometimes you would argue that probably, yes, mentors are there, but the problem we have is our own mindset, because the people that should be our mentors are probably the people we are fighting on social media. No, this person has done that, this person has done that. And instead of learning from them, we are actually fighting them. You know?
Yes, I don't know what it is with.
Anyways, it's social media at the end of the day. So anyway,
Yeah.
what trends really in corporate advisory or governance really excite you and drive you to challenge conventional thinking?
What trends? Preparing for disaster.
Okay, I found something that sounds like me. Because
Prepare.
most of the time I'm like, I always try to prepare for the worst case scenario. And people think you're being negative.
Yes. Look, like we would love to all be angels, but we're living in the real world, and human beings can be human beings. So at the end of the day, even in contracts, we're not just gonna shake hands and say, "Fine, gentlemen's agreement." No. Should anything come up, how do we?
Handle it.
Yes. You see, so if you have a mindset of preparing for disaster, it's not to anticipate misfortune. It's really to prepare yourself if it did come. Right. Some people, I always have the same arguments when people are talking about prenups, but it's a hot topic. No, that it's the same thing. I like to give that example. Some people say if people have a prenup, then you're anticipating divorce, right? But at the same time, should it happen, what do you have in place? It's the same concept even with contracts, right? In good faith, we both think we're going to do what we're going to do. But then life happens. Maybe there's a delay in a consignment or something, and you're in breach of the contract. If you've had something in place that counters that breach, or you have room for extension of time and all those things, you are better prepared, right? So those are, I think that is the major thing that has shaped my thinking, even just growing up, like in my profession. Um, I don't like to be surprised by things. I don't know what to do when it happens, and I didn't have a plan. So most times it was like you always have a plan. Me, I'm like, yeah, I always have an alternative plan should the first one not work out. Not to anticipate misfortune or whatever, but just to be better prepared. And there's nothing beats preparation. And I
Yeah.
think planning for disaster is preparation.
Great. Um, just around thinking. Um, in my book, I write about cognitive dissonance. And this is not about me. I just want to bring out a certain point. I write about cognitive dissonance, and this is when you know the right thing to do and then you decide to do the other thing, in simple terms. Uh, do you sometimes get to in a situation where something you are preparing for or defending goes against your values and you go through cognitive dissonance? How
And
frequent does it happen?
it happens a lot. It happens at the point of taking instructions. Sometimes, I won't give examples,
Okay, that's
but
fine.
sometimes you have certain values, right, that will not allow you to take a certain instruction, right? So for me, that one is easy. If I have a conflict, I don't do it. I
Okay.
don't do it. It makes it easier because as a lawyer, you need to be able to effectively represent your client. If there's anything within my mind that would take away from that, it's better I don't take the instruction. Actually, I'm not allowed to take the instruction
Okay.
if I know I'm conflicted in some way, whether by whatever reasons. And the client is always free to find another, you know, another lawyer. But I think I have been in my life. I've been in a position where I felt that strongly. I think when I was in employment, and it frustrated me really because I didn't want a job, but I had to go through the job to be able to not have the job. So the patience, I think that time, I knew from the get go I wanted to have my own firm at some point, but it took 7 years. It took 7 years since I was called to the bar and started practicing law for me to be able to have a law firm. But during those 7 years, I had to work for someone. I had to wake up in the morning at 8, and get to the office by 8 or even before 8 for meetings. And it didn't, it's not what I wanted. It's not where I wanted to be. It's not what I didn't believe in it. I think, not that I don't believe in having a job. You don't get me in the No, that's not what I'm saying. For me, I didn't want to be in employment. I think that's why even um whilst well within the 7 years, I started looking for ways like a side hustle, because I did contemplate quitting the law. And then I realized that it was because I was not working under the conditions I wanted for myself. So then that created a disconnect because I had to still perform, I had to show up, I had to do everything I needed to do, but I didn't want to be there.
Yeah, it
So
could really be something.
yeah, so it was a tough 7 years, really, but it was also good, really. I won't say it was so bad or that I struggled um to a very high degree. I knew where I wanted to go and it was taking long. It was taking long.
Thinking about it, I'm tempted to think you were the Jacob and that was your Rachel, so you had to wait 7 years with the patience.
Yeah, I
I'm
had to
not
wait.
preaching, guys. I'm
I
not
don't know.
preaching.
It was
But it was worth it.
it was worth it. It's good for, formative years. You need to learn. All right. You can't just jump. We can't just jump from, for us lawyers, you just get your practicing license and tomorrow you can open your own law firm without having some sort of mentorship. Um, Actually, even when you're opening a law firm, you have to prove that you've been under someone's supervision for the last 5 years. So I needed the supervision. I liked the work. I just didn't like the environment so much. And it was not my environment, so I couldn't dictate the rules.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Great. I'm not gonna add to that. Anyway, as we are closing up, what guidance would you give to ambitious young women pursuing leadership roles in law, to be specific?
In law?
Yeah.
Ish. Um, okay, for women, and I don't let it not be that I didn't give so much information. We're talking about boys, no, but for everyone,
For everyone.
I think, while we grow up, I'm going to give an example of a child. When a child is born in Africa, and they are taken out of Africa and they are taken to Asia, this child develops the habits of an Asian, has a fluent Asian accent, whether it's Mandarin, Japanese, Chinese, fashion, largely influenced by their area, way of thinking, the same, right? And I also like to say, just because 4 people sat around the fire decades ago and said that the color pink is purple, and generations after that, their descendants believe that the color pink is purple doesn't mean the color pink is purple. So I think that people generally, women and men alike, need to go through a process where you assess for yourself, right? Culture is nice, it's good. There are things about it that make us who we are. It's very rich. At the same time, there's some things about it that stagnate our growth. So if you are a woman and people tell you ambition doesn't look good on a woman, yeah, that's coming from that campfire decades ago. That's coming from
I
that
like that you
campfire.
call it campfire. I don't remember last time I attended one.
Yeah, someone was sitting around the fire saying, no, this doesn't look good. So I think at some point you have to go through a process where you disconnect yourself and, ask yourself, what do I really want? What's stopping me? Right? If you're talking about women, I think for women it's a bit harder because there are a lot of hoops you jump through for you to get to a point where you are in a bigger position, or you are running a law firm, or you have a pharmacy, or you have a big business or a bigger position or something, because you are fighting against social norms. I don't like to go into that conversation. Because,
And you
it's
are subconsciously pushing me to go there because you're
yeah, because
resisting it.
because it's relative. Some people are okay with it, some people are not okay with it. But I think what my major point would be is that each person should be allowed to decide for themselves, and try not to be influenced so much about what people say. Because if you're going to ask, people's opinions vary. Yeah? If you go and ask an auntie, no, I want to get a master's. What the work, oh boy. You can ask like one of those aunties up there. And then you can ask maybe, I'm going to give an example of someone who I think is doing very well, Mtsingamelo. If you go and ask Mtsingamelo, I want to do my master's. Like, yes, why not? Like, go and do it, to flip the page. Go and ask your grandpa.
I'm actually reading her book, and I'll say this on camera. I just hope she'll be my guest one of these days.
I hope so. That'd be good for the show.
Yeah, because I have a lot of questions I need to ask her from her book. But
yeah.
anyway.
So go and ask your grandpa. Like, grandpa, I want to do my master's degree. No, but the guy you're with, does he have a master's degree? Like there's all that just becomes background noise. But I think one thing that's important, and my dad told me one time, is that just don't be afraid to push boundaries. My older sister said something funny one time. She said, when you're in grade 10, when you're in grade 12, and then, okay, ish parents, sorry, I never did it. But when you're in grade 12 or you finish school and then you have your first boyfriend, you would definitely date at that level, right? Because, you finish school, that's what is in your vision, right? After that, you go to uni or you graduate from uni, even at that level, if it's a spouse that you're worried about, there's definitely somebody. Even if you decided to do your master's degree or even leave the country, for some reason, I think providence, God places things where you don't even expect to find them. So for women, where the challenge is being in competition with a spouse, I think
Bring it out.
bring it out. Look, I'm not telling people how to run their relationships or anything, but I think that the person that, if you would really want to do what you want to do, there will always be somebody who's going to support the dream. And I think I'm lucky that I have been around such people in my life. There've been people, yes, that do not support the dream. There've been people that have pretended to support the dream, but
As the case in most cases.
yeah,
if you ask
and
me.
yes, and then there's some people who actually support the dream and they will push you. So just find yourself in the right circles and keep pushing higher. Really, I think for men, what I would say for boys, I would say we. I think that the plane is even. Like just as much as I think each party should live and let live. Women should be more accommodating, even as older women, or older women should mentor young boys. Men should mentor young women. Of course, there's a lot of issues there.
Yeah.
Sometimes,
Precisely.
there's a lot of issues there. But when you have a proper mentorship relationship, I think each child should be given an equal opportunity to learn, and each child should aim as high as they can.
Brilliant. The last question. I did promise you I'm not going to ask hard questions or take too long.
Doesn't sound like a hard.
Anyway, my last question is what's your next upcoming initiative or goals you would like to share?
Charity. I think it's really big on my heart. I think we are all each other's keepers. I think goals and ambitions are good. People are up to doing everything that they want to do. You know, people are overachieving and underachieving, out
Yeah,
there.
truly.
But at the end of the day, we need to remember what this is all about, which is, humanity and each other. So if when we get to the top in whatever way we can send down the ladder, if it's in your corporate area, or if it's even just orphanages or supplies or mentoring a child or even just adopting a child, paying school fees for one child till they get to grade 12, or just school uniforms, or just taking off that burden of some household in lesser advantaged neighborhoods, things like that they don't just keep us at the top, but they help others to come up as well. So, yes, I think growing up, that was one of the things on my list. There's a lot I wanted to achieve, but I still wanted to come back down and see what I can do for others.
If it was in church, I would say amen. But anyway, we're here.
Really?
Yeah, great, great. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Congratulations. This is very good.
Thank you.
I hope when we're back next time, I can sing.
You're definitely coming back next time, because there are topics that I know she's avoided and we haven't spoken about. And yeah, there's some good talk there. I'll definitely call you.
Be glad to be back.
And I'm sure this time around you probably won't be alone on so that I get 2 views.
Yeah, so that I'm not quoted alone.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this podcast, please feel free to like, share, and leave your comment on what you think. And also just tell us what guest you'd want us to call on this podcast the next time. This has been your host, Ian Mombe. See you next time.